Sometimes you think you've bitten off more than you can chew. Well, that's me right now. And as I start to burn up the miles in an attempt to get really fit, let's rejoin Desiree and Cameron on that remote beach in Morar and see how light you can comfortably go with your backpacking gear.
We're going to have a look at the contents of these rucksacks that we've been carrying. She's been carrying mine, I've been carrying hers. It'll be really interesting to see what she's got in here, and maybe just a wee bit intimidating.
Well, backpacking is such a personal thing, and I'm sure Cameron and I have got very different ideas about what we should take with us. So here goes. Let's see what I've got in this rucksack. I just hope I'm going to have everything I need.
I'd kept my sack to the absolute minimum, less than £10. Desiree's weighed in at £16, which is actually still lightweight, but it is 50% heavier than mine.
It actually looks like quite a lot of stuff in here for it being so light. I don't know if I'll take this out. Looks like some underwear. Hopefully it's clean.
Smidge.
Not sure what this is. Midge coil perhaps, ah yes. This is really light, whatever it is. A stove, my goodness. Gee whiz, it just weighs absolutely nothing at all. That's amazing.
I think this is a stove, and it looks very complicated.
So we've got some utensils here for eating.
A nice pink toothbrush. That's lovely.
Spare hat here. Interestingly, the rucksack itself weighs a lot less than mine, and I think that's where a lot of the weight saving is coming from.
There's more clothes in here than a London boutique.
This must be sleeping bag. Again, this feels really light, much lighter compared to mine. Yeah, that feels about half the weight probably.
Sleeping bag, that's heavy. I think I might be very warm in this.
So one person tent. Apparently this weighs about £1. That's just amazing.
Okay, let's put the tent up first.
First thing I'm going to do before anything else is put a midgie net on, because the midges here are really bad. So I've actually got a midge jacket, and I'm just going to stick this on before I do anything else. Not very glamorous at all.
Unfortunately, I'm quite familiar with this tent. It's a Hilleberg Actu tent. It's fairly light. It's about, I don't know, £4, which is about 4 times the weight of my tent. But it's a very, very good tent.
I've never used one of these kinds of tents before, so I don't know how easy this is going to be to put up. Poles are just so light. For that reason, they do feel quite fragile. There's looks like a bit of a break in that pole there. Don't know if that's deliberate sabotage, perhaps, on Cameron's part. Oh my goodness, look at these. They're just like needles. I'm going to have to be really careful I don't lose these things.
I don't really need to pin out the guys in this tent, but I will anyway.
I'm just so worried I snap this. I'm sure it's a lot more robust than it looks.
There's nothing worse than having to get up during the night to put out the guy ropes because it's become windy.
Luckily this ground is absolutely brilliant for putting up the tent.
Tent's up and it's time to get organised. This is a pretty standard thermarest, fairly comfortable, quite a good size. Desiree might get a bit of a shock when she sees mine.
It looks near enough identical, although I have to say that's much smaller than the one that I would use. This is pretty much only going to give you insulation and support along the top half of your body. That for me is not worth weight saving.
I sleep very hot, which means that I like very thin sleeping bags. You know, almost a hanky over me is sufficient for me in the summer, and I've got a feeling this is going to be a hot, sweaty 3-season, if not winter, sleeping bag. Yeah. Oh, it feels very heavy.
Sleeping bag, it's actually a goose down sleeping bag, so it's probably going to be quite warm, even though it's really light and quite small. Down sleeping bags are definitely better warmth to weight ratio than synthetic bags, so this might actually be completely fine for me, and it just looks really lightweight, looks really comfortable. Probably be okay in this, to be honest.
When I first picked up this stove of Desiree's, this jet boil stove, I was a bit sceptical about it. It seemed very heavy and a bit tippy. But now that I'm actually going to use it in anger, I can maybe appreciate its finer points. And when it's all together, it's just a question of turning on the gas, pressing the little lighter, and there you go, you've got the flame. And the great thing about this, it's got an integral windshield, so it's supposed to be very, very fuel efficient.
I have to say I'm a little bit intimidated by lighting this. It's always really hard with meths to tell whether it's lit or not. There we go. That's it going now. Which is one of the reasons why it's not the fuel of choice for some folks, because it's just a really invisible flame. Pot in there, which is going to help to stabilise the whole thing. I'm just going to go for some really simple food. A bit of water in there. The other thing about meth stoves is they're not variable in terms of kind of the rate of the flame or the strength of the flame. So once this is lit, that's pretty much it. I don't have any control over how fast I want this thing to cook. I guess I just need to leave that for a little while now.
Well, it's certainly boiling. And that didn't take too long, actually.
This has taken quite a long time to cook, partly because it went out and I didn't realise it was out, so my food wasn't cooking. But it means the midges are back, unfortunately. So I've got my midge net back on, which is going to make it quite difficult for me to eat my tea, because I'm not going to be able to fit the rice through. It's bubbling away furiously now, but I've got no way of turning it down unless I turn the thing off. And I can't actually see a way to turn it off, rather than just letting the mess run out. So I think I prefer my one. I was just thinking earlier, Cameron, how there must be so many people that live in this country that will never have seen or never even maybe get the chance to see such an amazing place like this.
It's a wee bit special, isn't it?
It really is.
And I was thinking, even amongst people who go to the mountains, this sort of coastal scenery is so different, especially on a nice still night like this where the sea's really flat calm, you've got the sun going down, the islands are just appearing, and there's something kind of magical, there's something kind of essentially elemental about it.
And it's just empty. We haven't seen anybody all day. We've got this place to ourselves.
What if somebody said to you, but there's nothing to do here?
I think that's the thing though, that's what's really nice about it. There isn't anything to do other than put your tent up, cook a meal and just look out the views. Like, you just have to sit and be and enjoy this environment.
I'm looking forward to putting my head down in the tent and just listen to that, the sound of that sigh of the water coming in.
Well, shall we go and check out these tents and sleeping bags and thermarests? And
The only thing is, I've got to sleep with your stuff.
we'll try it for an hour at least and see how you get on.
Okay.
Yeah, shall we do that?
Yeah, okay.
Well, I've been pretty comfy in here for the last hour. Pretty impressed with the sleeping bag, to be honest. Seems really lightweight, really warm. Not interested in the mat, it's too small, it's not comfortable enough, and there's nothing to rest my head on.
I'm really quite comfy lying here. Having said that, the sleeping bag is too hot for me, and in no time at all I'm going to be sweating. And you know, you get used to your own equipment. You get to be very familiar with your own equipment, how it works, becomes second nature to you. So really, I want to get back to my own kit.
Just a few years ago, the gear we've been using would have been unimaginable. New technology has meant we've now